Supercars superstar Greg Murphy joins us again. Murph, welcome back to the show, mate.
Thanks, buddy. Good to talk to you, as always.
Taupo versus Pukekohe. How good was it?
Well, you know, when you have a new event, a new venue, new racetrack, all that kind of stuff, you know, it's always exciting. It's massively exciting. And so you're always going to have success with that. But saying that, you know, and it will be successful moving forward because the venue is fantastic. The viewing's great. Having close proximity to Taupo as well as a town city has, you know, really played its part. Which is really the key difference between Pukekohe and Taupo, is just that proximity kind of thing to what you've got at Taupo and the touristy side of things. And it ticks all the boxes, mate, as far as, you know, the government assistance with the events and all that kind of thing. A lot of benefit comes into the area. The circuit played its part really well. It raced great. It doesn't have the history. That's about the biggest thing. It doesn't have that history and awe of what Pukekohe had, and what we loved about it so much, you know, was the fact that it dated back to the 60s and all the things it's seen and had and the people that have raced there. But other than that, you know, we've been very fortunate that we've got Taupo to fill in the void.
Tony Quinn yesterday, after the event, giving the finger and saying to anyone who said it couldn't ever happen in Taupo. So, obviously, there'd been a fair bit of criticism of it. I hadn't actually noticed, but obviously it had got to him.
It obviously got to him. I actually hadn't heard too much about it either, to be fair. No. There'd been a lot of positivity, but being, you know, in his position and it's, with many more touch points to Supercars that he has through the ownership of the team and feedback clearly that a few had given him. I don't think it was too extensive, but, you know, he's just so proud to have had the event there and watched it evolve and watch Supercars move in and turn the place into something that, you know, we haven't really seen. We saw it similar to it back in the A1 days back in 2000, but, you know, Taupo just the track just looked amazing, and you know, the event went off brilliantly. So I think he was just very proud about that.
Can you see it moving to Hampton Downs from there after a couple of years?
Not at the moment. You know, there's just there's complexities with the Hampton Downs scenario where again the funding that the government gives doesn't have the same impact, you know, because of the location of the track there. The facility and in the track, brilliant. I'd love to see Supercars on it because it would deliver fantastic racing and it's a brilliant racetrack. But, you know, with the all the pieces of the puzzle that you've got to have together to make these things happen, it probably doesn't quite tick the boxes. I mean, everyone's talking about a double header and want to get 2 races in, and that would be awesome. But again, is New Zealand big enough for it to be able to cater 2 times, 2 events, you know, with a limited amount of fans and corporate as well to support it? It's, you know, the numbers probably need to be really looked at, and I'm sure Supercars got a lot more numbers now that they can maybe justify it. I mean, it'd be great to have something in the South Island. It really would, but again, the complexities of the cost, logistics, and all that have to be taken into account. So, and as I say, we've got a limited, captive audience to try and do that as well. So, you know, everyone's talking about it. We'll see what happens, but at the moment, I think we'll be sort of just in that one race sort of space for a little bit longer.
Is he the Peter V'landys of Supercars in New Zealand? He's just a guy that can get things done, Tony Quinn?
Yeah, he can get things done because, I mean, the Supercars thing was definitely Taupo and Tony and, you know, the willingness to want to spend money at the facility to bring it to standard so Supercars could come there. He can just make that happen. He just did it. Supercars turn up and obviously take control of the venue, run the event, and the circuit supports them and whatever they need to be done. So, but Tony has an ability to make things happen. He's been very successful. Everything that he's been involved in businesses he's done very well out of it. And so he likes to just get things done, and he loves creating legacy. I mean, he wants to have the 3 circuits that he owns in New Zealand around a lot way after he's left the earth, and have them running and successfully still in trust and operational and doing amazing things for a very, very long period of time. And that's what he's all about. Is he loves the sport. He wants to continue to support events, build events. We've got more events that we're planning in the future that don't involve supercars. We want to make them really special and memorable, and that's what he's all about. And also supporting young drivers as well, which we are doing through the Tony Quinn Foundation in a big way. So there's lots of exciting stuff that he's involved in and wants to continue to be.
Name synonymous with Supercars is Greg Murphy, four-time winner of Bathurst and also the Lap of the Gods. Do you like racing in the rain? Because the real contrast on Saturday and Sunday, wasn't it? Heimgartner running in the rain, and the crowd didn't seem to mind it at all. And then you got a dry track on the Sunday, different race entirely.
Yeah, it ended up being a great match, and the race we had on Saturday was epic. Yeah, and it's awesome that the fans stuck around. It was a little bit tough. Luckily, it wasn't too cold. It was just damp and wet, but they were treated to an awesome race. And to top it all out, Andre Heimgartner driving probably the race of his life, really, to get his only second race win in the championship. And the emotion of that was enormous. And man, he'll never ever forget that moment, regardless of how many wins he gets from here. This one will be very special to him.
And then race 2, is that more what we're going to see throughout the season? Do you think those two drivers are going to be the two dominant ones?
They've been very consistent so far. Red Bull are just an absolute exceptional operation, and it did highlight in the dry how good they are at ticking all the boxes. I mean, their overall speed, the car speed, and the engineering of their cars clearly a little bit better than everybody else, and then the two drivers drove them accordingly to maximise it. So there's a slight advantage in a straight street fight in good conditions without a safety car, and their strategy was pretty simple and basic, but it worked. So their longevity on their tyre, the way it looked after the tyre, was a key factor in that, and theirs was just a little bit better than everybody else's. So I don't think it's not going to stay that way all the way through, but I think in a straight street fight situation, if they qualify well, the two of them have a slight advantage right now.
What have you noticed in year 2 of the Gen 3 cars? Has it settled down somewhat? There's always a lot of complaints when anything changes, and there were plenty of those last year, and Shane Van Gisbergen saying it was just boring, the racing was boring and things. Is that the same this year? What have you noticed? I
don't think so. I think there's been some settling down with all that. A lot of work was done in the off-season. The prototypes were in America, in the wind tunnels that they have over there that NASCAR use to get all their figures and their parity correct. And it seems to be that it's a little bit closer. Well, it's a lot closer. I didn't hear the word parity being spoken on the weekend at all. So I think there's been some good work done, which has calmed all that down. And for me, I think Gen 3 is working. I understand Shane's sort of conversation about it and his feelings, and he had other reasons for that as well that sort of put him off a fair bit. But we've had some great races. The races at the Australian Grand Prix 4 weeks ago were some of the best sort of dices and battles that we've seen in a while, and it still is throwing up a mixed bag when it comes to qualifying and race results. So that's what we want. We don't want to see complete dominance. Although, saying that, I just told you that Red Bull seem to have a slight advantage, but it's so quick to change with this formula at the moment. So we'll wait and see. It's very early in this season. So far, we've had some great races and a fair number of different winners as well from all through the field. So that's what we need in a championship. But, we'll have to judge it a little bit more later in the season, I think. Greg
Murphy with us on the platform. Look, might be banging this drum on my own, but I think it's actually time that Supercars divorced itself from the F1. I just think it's like playing T20 cricket when I actually want to see a 70-lap race. I mean, the advantage of Supercars is that they do race hell of a lot of laps, and you've got to bring that pit strategy, tyre strategy, fuel strategy. You've got to bring all of that into it because it's as much part of the game, isn't it? Just the 20-lap races leave me cold, I'm sorry. And I just don't think it's a sport it actually needs to hang on it anymore. I think unless they're prepared to say, okay, we'll give you, what you need, which is your own pits and everything else. Otherwise, just say, hey, let the F1 be the F1. Everyone knows what the result is anyway, so move on.
Yeah, it's been a interesting cycle with Formula One and Supercars for a long time. I mean, the reason we got our own pit lane at Formula One was by saying, well, we're not coming anymore because we need to get treated better. And now Formula One's gone, we're going to bring our little feeder category single-seater formulas with us, and you guys are going to get pushed out the back.